Hi, guys. Welcome to another episode of the Strong Female Athlete Podcast. I am going to get right into it today. Today is a solo presentation on how to improve speed. Now, if you're someone who is frustrated that you are slow, or maybe you're a parent of a young athlete and you see that they're a step behind or they're not as explosive as they can be, this presentation is for you because you are going to learn so many tools to improve speed. And please stick around to the end because what I say about speed at the end of this presentation is going to shock a lot of you. And a lot of you are already doing some of these things that absolutely destroy speed. So let's get into it. I always love to start this presentation off with asking everyone a question. So I have two pictures here on the screen. The first picture is an athlete tapping their feet through ladders, and then the other picture is an athlete sprinting. My question to you is, which one of these pictures is speed training? So athlete A tapping their feet through ladders, or athlete B running sprints on a track. A lot of people answer this question wrong. I would say 99% of people I've given this presentation to, they always say the athlete tap dancing their feet through ladders is speed training. Wrong. That is not speed training. That is quick feet drills, which is very different than true speed training. The definition of speed I like to give everyone, just to simplify it at its core, is getting from point A to point B as fast as possible. So if you have an athlete tapping their feet through a ladder, they're not getting from start to finish as fast as possible. If you put an athlete next to them who's running an all-out sprint, like this girl here in the picture who's running an all-out sprint on a track, she is going to get from point A to point B as fast as possible. That is speed training. That is what we want our athletes to do that makes up their speed sessions. For any field sport, whether it's soccer, lacrosse, or field hockey, athletes have to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, whether that's hustling back on defense or sprinting onto a through ball off the ball or running a counterattack. There are always these moments in the game where athletes have to get from point A to point B as fast as possible, up and down the field. Rarely do we see athletes in team sports tippity tapping their feet through ladders. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do ladder drills. Look, I personally don't do them with my athletes anymore because it's just not bang for buck in my program. I would rather be doing explosive plyometrics, time sprint drills, chase drills, race drills, anything else that's going to really make them explosive and translate to the game. If you want to do ladders for a couple minutes within warm up just to get the feet moving, fine. I'm just saying I don't personally do them. I don't see a benefit for them with the athletes that I work with because I see my female athletes very limited time throughout the season. So if they want to continue to improve speed throughout the season, we're doing more bang for buck drills, which we're going to discuss in this podcast of what are the most bang for buck drills if you are limited on time and you have to fit speed into your schedule. Now, I'm going to focus a lot on off-season training within this presentation, but I will touch on what in-season training for maintaining and also improving speed can look like. The truth is you shouldn't stop training speed after the summer off-season's over, because if you stop after summer off-season and you don't see your speed coach for several months, you're going to diminish those speed gains. You're going to kind of go back to square one. So speed, you can always continue to improve and you should always continue to nurture it because it is a very neurological exercise. It's fast twitch. So we have to keep giving the body those inputs, those explosive inputs. So true speed training is sprinting as fast as possible from point A to point B. Now, here's a bullet point list of non-negotiables in speed training. So what should be included within a speed session? Well, we want intensity with short duration exercises. So we don't want to be doing exercises for longer than 6 seconds, because once we get longer than 6 seconds for our plyometric drills, our high knee drills, our time sprint drills, we start to get out of the energy system that is speed and power development. If athletes are doing plyometrics for minutes on end, which sadly you see a lot of young female athlete teams doing plyometric circuits for 1 minute straight, as many hops as you can get. That is a cardio circuit. That is not true plyometric training. That's not speed training. It's actually making our girls more slow twitch, because by, I'd say, even the 15-second mark of them doing those plyometrics, they're already starting to slow down those jumps or those hops or those bounds or whatever plyometric they're doing. So that's why we do short duration, because that's the most intensity we can get out of our athletes to really help them recruit fast twitch muscle fibers. So less than 6 seconds per exercise. Now, in between exercises, so in between sets of your plyometrics, of your high knee drills, of your A skips, your B skips, you want a lot of recovery. Even if your athletes feel like they're ready to go after they do a set of plyometrics for 6 seconds, we still need to give them that recovery of about 30 to 60 seconds, because we want every single set to be high intensity and high quality. So again, we want our athletes to recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers. And the only way we can do that is to make sure that they recover long in between all those sets on a speed day. Now, every sprint is either a race or it's timed. If you're not doing one of the two, it is not speed training. You're not getting the most out of your athletes. So if you are an athlete who is working in a group, doing small group training, awesome. You can absolutely race. And we here in Tampa, Florida, we do both. So in our group trainings, we race and we time. So it's a double whammy to get the most intensity out of my athletes. And there's actually a lot of research behind this, that when athletes race and time at the same time, they're able to get their max effort out of it, and their speed times improve so much. So it's really incredible. Now, if you're timing, I strongly recommend the Freelap timing system. You've probably heard my ad over and over again in every single episode. SimpliFaster, the company that makes the timing system, they sponsor the podcast. And I was very hesitant to have sponsors for my podcast, because there's not a lot of products I believe in to share with my audience, but this is one of them. It took me 5 years to finally get a podcast sponsor and be like, you know what, this product is it. I've been using it for 5 years and I've seen the results from my athletes. My girls love the Freelap timing system because they get so competitive with their sprint times. And in turn, that raises the ceiling on their intensity each session. They're not half-assing the sprints. They're going full speed, max effort for every single rep. So that timing is so valuable to get that intensity out of them, but also to see improvements. For my older girls especially, we do a lot of tracking. For my munchkins, my under 13s, we don't do a lot of tracking quite yet, but sometimes we might whip out the timing system just for fun. It gets them excited. But if you are someone who is a 13 or under, I recommend a lot of racing in your speed sessions, chasing games, anything fun to keep them engaged. They have time when they're in high school and college to do all the data tracking with the timing systems and the technology. So if you're a parent of a young one, please check out the episode in the caption below I did with Mike Whiteman on speed training for 9 to 12s. Hey guys, just want to take a quick moment to shout out our sponsor, SimpliFaster, and one of my favorite speed timing systems from them, the Freelap. I use it for my own sprint training as well as for my athletes, and they love it. It's super easy to set up, you can take it to the field on your own, and you can get accurate speed times to track your progress. Check the Freelap link in the caption below to start adding timing into your speed sessions. If you know me, you know I love my Freelap. If you're serious about speed, it's time to start timing. Another thing about speed training is it is not conditioning. So speed should be done as a totally separate drill or entity within a session, and then conditioning should be done as a separate entity or on a different day. Now, how I structure it in my summer off-season program, we will do speed at the beginning of the session. You always want speed to be the first thing you do, whether it's at the beginning of the session or before a practice or skills training or a lift. Speed always has to come first because it is very central nervous system heavy, and we want to make sure we're still recruiting those fast twitch muscles. So you have to be your most fresh. You cannot train speed under fatigue. You cannot get the most out of a speed session if you are really sore. So make sure you do it first. first thing in the day or first in the session. That's how we structure it. So we'll do our speed first, and then we'll rest for 3 to 5 minutes and then move on to our conditioning. So the difference between speed and conditioning is really just the intensity. So speed is max effort, full intensity, and conditioning is usually sub-max. So anywhere from 70% to 90% of your max intent. And then conditioning, the rest times are a lot shorter, okay? So the more intense an exercise is, the more rest time you want to take. So that's speed. The less intensity that you're going at, you want to decrease those rest times, okay? So conditioning is really meant to get the heart rate up, improve cardiovascular fitness. So that's why those rest times are a lot shorter in conditioning. Just think of speed as a separate gear, okay? Speed is when you're driving in fifth gear. I think that's what it is. I used to drive stick shift so long ago when I was a teenager. Fifth gear, I believe, was the fastest. So speed is its own gear, fifth gear, and then conditioning is second gear maybe, okay? So 2 separate gears should be done in 2 separate drills or on 2 separate days. You have to separate speed and conditioning. I hope that makes sense. Okay, and then speed workouts. This is so important because I think in today's world, a lot of athletes and sports parents think, oh, well, if my girl's not sore, she didn't work out hard enough, or it wasn't a useful workout. Wrong again. You should never finish a speed workout sore, at least for long. You should never be in chronic soreness. Now, if you're new to speed and you're firing your hamstrings and running an all-out sprint because you've never experienced that full stimulus before from your soccer practice, then you might be sore the first week or two because of that new stimulus and your muscles are just adapting. But if you've been doing speed for a while, you should never feel sore chronically. You should always finish a speed workout refreshed. Your brain's on fire, you're awake, you're ready to go. It can count as a warm-up too for some in-season workouts. So speed you should never be sore. Otherwise, I really question if the coach actually trained your fast twitch muscles. Okay, now here are some non-negotiables on some other things we work on within the session. So we will do mechanics first. So this is part of our warm-up. I don't do a whole dynamic warm up with like all the stretches all the time. We really just do a lot of mechanics work. So focusing on our A skips, B skips, our marches, our position of the arms. Now, if you're tuning in and you see this picture here on the right of the arms should be about at an 80, 90 degree angle at the elbow. And the hand should come past the hip or be near the back pocket. So there should be some spacing here. And the hand should just be nice and relaxed. So just very soft hands. Okay, we don't want our athletes to be tense in the hands. Now you'll also see the posture is tall. So when we reach top speeds, we have to have a tall posture. Otherwise, it can ruin our stride length and our stride rate and leave us a step behind. So we always want to be tall. We never want our athletes looking at the ground. And during these mechanics drills, our skips, marches, knee drives, and high knee drills, I always tell my girls, pick an object straight in front of you and stare at it. You cannot be looking down at the ground. Don't worry, the ground's there, but you don't need to look. We want to really train good posture. And now with the position of the foot, this is so key. And I find this very common just across all team sports and female athletes is they are toe runners or heel strikers. So how we fix that is through our knee drive drills. We'll do holds so that they get used to the position. So in this picture here on the left, we'll just focus on the lower half of the body, not bring the arms in yet because I just don't want to confuse them. We'll focus on a few cues down here for lower body mechanics where the knee and the foot are in front of the hips and the foot is below the knee. And then the big toe is pointed forward. Why? Well, we don't want to be running on our toe. We don't want the toe to be striking the ground. So it has to be pointed forward. And we don't want the foot too far out in front of the knee here. Otherwise, we're going to become heel strikers, which can really cause a lot of hamstring strains in our athletes. So we want to make sure they get used to this position because when they're in this position with lower body mechanics, they're much more likely to strike the ground with the ball of the foot, so the widest part of the foot, when they're actually sprinting in a game. Okay, so we want to reinforce these mechanics over and over again. And the way I do that is just within warm up. Again, I'm choosing things that are bang for buck. I don't do ladder drills to train sprint mechanics because in a ladder drill, you don't have good posture, you're slouched over, you're not striking the ground fast with the ball of the foot, you're not training stride rate and stride length. What else? I mean, I can give you a ton more. You're not driving the knee up to the hip that helps with top speeds. You're not utilizing your hamstrings at all. I mean, ladders really just make your feet sore and develop your calves. But in speed training, we want to develop our hamstrings, which comes from doing a lot of these drills and running an all out sprint. Okay. I have seen so many female athletes in all my years of coaching. They have no hamstrings, they have no glutes, and it is sad because those are their speed muscles. So I just am opting for exercises that develop those. Ladders, there are like girls are already getting enough of like the jogging and quick feet drills within soccer practice. So why would I add more to that bucket? I want to get them out of those positions sometimes so we can actually gain some speed here. After we do our mechanics warm up, sometimes we'll work some dynamic stretches in, but I'll be honest, guys, we don't stretch a whole lot. Like we don't spend like 15 minutes doing stretches the whole time. We do a lot of our mechanics. That's the main focus. And then we move right on to our jumps and hops. And a lot of you be like, oh my gosh, you don't stretch? No, not really. And we've never had a problem with it in the past several years. Actually, girls who you think are not flexible, it's not a flexibility issue. They're actually weak or they're fatigued all the time. So address those first. Get them strong in the gym and get them recovered and you'll be fine. You don't need as much stretching as you think. Okay, so we move on to our jumps and hops. So I like to do pogo hops, bounding, vertical and broad jumps, lateral hops. So to really train that quick strike off the ground with the ball of the foot. Pogos are such a great starting point for a lot of our girls because it really teaches them to be bouncy off of that ball of the foot and to get some serious air. And then we progress to doing different directions. So bounding, going forward or going laterally, just to get into different planes of movement and give them a new stimulus as the program progresses. Then after that, we're explosive, we're awake, we're ready to go, we're ready to run our sprints. So the next one is sprints. And to reach top speeds, we want our sprints to be at least over 30 yards in distance. Now, if you're running just 10 to 20 yard sprints, which a lot of girls are doing at their team practices because they share a field with like 3 or 4 other teams, they're working in such a small space. So they rarely get that over 30 yard stimulus that trains top speed. So we're definitely hitting over 30 yards distance. And again, we're either racing, chasing, or timing to get that intensity out of them. Okay, and then the final thing I'm going to add with speed is your gym work. So again, just coming back to girls just in general, they have no hamstrings, no glutes, they have no quads. You have to build the speed muscles. The hamstrings, like Dr. Matt Ibrahim says, they're the conductors of speed. So the hamstrings have to be strong. We do that through our deadlifts, our single leg deadlifts, our ham curls, and we really load girls up in the gym. I mean, gone are the days where we have 14-year-old girls just doing a 65-pound deadlift. Yeah, that's a starting point, but I actually had a girl come in the other day who's 14 and she lifted over 100 pounds with perfect form. So I think a lot of people are underestimating female athletes and we can load them more and challenge them more in the gym. And I think a lot of girls also are afraid to go into that heavy lifting territory because they think their form might break down or they just underestimate themselves. So I think girls really need strength coaches who can bring that out of them, coach them up on the movement and encourage them to go heavy. I think it was one of my colleagues in my personal training days, Tony Genacor. He said, lifting weights is not supposed to tickle. So you shouldn't just be hanging out at 5-pound dumbbells and hardly feeling it. You should feel a little bit of a challenge on those last few reps. So I love that quote. Lifting weights is not supposed to tickle. Tony Genacor. Okay, so how often should our athletes be training speed? I can't reinforce this one enough. Speed takes consistency. It is a highly advanced skill and it's a stimulus that girls continue to need because when you stop speed training, it's lost very quickly. Within 2 weeks' time is what the research says. So a cessation in any speed training or plyometric work is when you start to lose that explosiveness. So I urge you, continue speed in season. My girls love training speed in season because it's so microdosed and they feel energized for practice. I usually have them do it before their practices as warm up. Some girls do just once a week and they get a huge benefit from that because just think about it. If they do once a week for an entire season, that is around 4 months, for example, that's many sessions compounded over time. So if you can at least nail down once a week in season, you are golden. You're going to continue to improve. Speed legendary coach Tony Holler, who I've had on the podcast many times before, he says speed grows like a tree. Okay, so it's slow growing, but if you continue to nurture it, I mean, it's just going to bloom and it's absolutely incredible. So you have to continue to nurture your speed in the off season. So now that I'm recording this, I'm in the summer off season with my athletes. I would say if you can get at least 2 to 3 times a week in the off season, I'd say 2 is perfect. We do 2. That is going to move the needle for so many people. Sometimes my college girls might bump up to that 3rd, but I was having a conversation with my colleague Dave Gleason the other day that if athletes can get in at least 3 to 4 days of high quality speed and strength and conditioning workouts a week and then take the rest as recovery, they are going to do so well and improve so much. I think so many people are so set on, oh, I need to train 5-6 days a week. But if you have quality and intent and intensity in those 4 days, you are going to get insane results. And then not to mention you have all that recovery to get even more insane results because speed can't be done under fatigue. It can't be done under soreness. This is me on the right here in this picture. If you're tuning in on YouTube, I just recently trained for the Team USA Masters World Championships. It was so incredibly fun. I took about 6 months out of my schedule last year to really train hard. And I also trained 4 days a week. I would lift 2 days and then sprint 2 days. And then sometimes I would do an extra upper body workout because, you know, these sprint chicks are really jacked, really strong, which we'll go over here shortly. But it was so fun. And it just reminded me that everyone can always continue to raise the ceiling on their speed. I'm in my mid 30s now, and because of this training, I'm faster than I was in college as a soccer All-American and starter and team captain and midfielder of the year in the nation. Like, I'm faster now in my mid 30s than when I was in my early 20s at my soccer peak, which is insane. I didn't think it was possible, but a lot of my speed colleagues said, buckle up. It is, if you just continue to give your body the right inputs with those explosive plyometrics, those intentional mechanics drills, and really refining your form, and then continuing to time your sprints and continuing to push yourself in the gym. And then another thing I added was my nutrition. I think that was another piece that really moved the needle for me. I just have so much energy now. My recovery is insane. My blood sugar is so regulated now. So I felt like a beast during this meet. I'm going to link, I did a whole episode on what I did for my training and nutrition. I'll link it in the caption below. I think the title is Faster at Age 35 Than When I Was a College Soccer All-American. So fun. Okay, so here's the schedule I do with my Tampa athletes and the majority of my remote athletes. This has worked so well for recovery, workout readiness. So we're making the most of our workouts and just how we structure our days so that they're ready for the next day and the session 24 hours later. So Monday is our speed day plus our speed endurance conditioning day. Mondays are where I want athletes the most fresh because we are working on speed and then speed endurance conditioning, which is really intense. So I always tell athletes, it's summer, you don't have games. Take the weekends off. Like, if you are doing something on the weekends and you're training hard, like, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Like, it's summer, enjoy yourselves. So Saturday, Sunday, I tell them you should be off. Okay. And then Tuesdays we do strength, but the strength on Tuesdays it's more of an upper body focus. We have just one lower body worked in there, but I don't want them being sore in the lower body for our Wednesday speed and agility. So that's why Tuesday I've changed it to more of an upper focus so that we give the legs a break from Monday and then we're ready for Wednesday, which is very intense because it's speed and agility, which is a lot of change of direction, a lot of quads, a lot of hamstrings and glutes, and then our repeat sprint conditioning, which is also a lot of hamstrings and glutes. So I really want them to be fresh for Wednesday. And then Thursday strength is a total body lift. We do a little bit of a focus on hamstrings because they're going to have 3 days off anyway, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we kind of crush the legs at the end of the week because they have that 72-hour recovery. So that's how I've structured it actually this year for the first time. And it's been amazing. And we do a lot of readiness questionnaires and we communicate with the athletes throughout the summer and they all feel good for every single workout. There were a few girls who were new to the program that were sore in like the first week, but then they adapted really quickly and they were fine. So I think this schedule has even helped some of our newbies for this summer. And again, guys, I can't repeat enough. Please ensure at least two full off days a week, meaning no formal trainings, no strength and conditioning, no skills training, no team practice, no going for other runs. Please, 2 full off days a week. Now, what can you do on these off days? You can do active recovery. You can go for a swim with a friend, whether it's at the pool or to the beach. You can go for a walk or a hike. Like those are examples of active recovery that are low to non-impact, okay? We want low to non-impact and just more light movement. Or if you want to play like beach volleyball, like go for it. That's totally fine. It's summer. Again, enjoy the summer with friends. We have to talk about conditioning when we're also talking about speed because athletes need to select conditioning drills that also help you get faster. Okay, so here's what I mean. Now, a lot of you have been following me for a while. You know that I have a bone to pick with coaches who still do 1, 2, 3 mile run tests, or they make their girls run 3 miles on their day off from practice. Like, I hate that so much. Like, I'm just being extremely straightforward with this because we're training slow twitch muscles and we're really only training the calves. So when you're jogging, you're really just developing the calves. Again, like we want to develop the muscles that need love for speed. We want to develop the hamstrings and the glutes. And we also want to make sure we're doing exercises that train good sprint mechanics. Jogging doesn't help with sprint mechanics. You're not driving the knee high enough. You're not striking the ground with the ball of the foot fast enough. Most people have piss poor posture when they're jogging. I mean, it's just a complete disaster. So I like to do conditioning drills that, again, are bang for buck. So we are improving speed and at the same time, we are improving endurance. We are improving aerobic capacity. Yes, these drills exist and it's darn exciting. So here are the ones I do. I like to keep it super simple. Speed endurance drills. So these drills are maintaining speed for over 40 yards. So some examples might include doing a half field sprint, not at 100%, but sub maximally. So anywhere from 70 to 90%, just a very nice stride, focusing on good mechanics, still getting the heart rate up nicely. It's not a jog again. So we're doing a stride that's training good mechanics. But with this, we're doing a shorter rest time. So again, that's the difference with conditioning is the rest times will be a lot shorter. When you're resting in between sprints, it should be a couple minutes to 5 minutes. But for conditioning drills, anywhere from 30 to 60-second rest time. Again, half field, sprint down, walk back for, let's say, 45 seconds, then go again. We'll do anywhere from 8 to 10 reps, okay? And then as we progress throughout the summer, we decrease those rest times, or instead of walking back, we have them just jog back quickly, okay? So we really get the heart rate up, but we're also training speed and mechanics at the same time. Another drill I love is repeat sprint ability. So these are actually done at 100% effort, but they're in that 10 to 20 yard range with shorter recovery time. So sometimes just 20 to 30 seconds in between. So I'll have my girls sprint 20 yards down, and then they get a 30-second walk back, and then we go again. And each rep has to be max effort. So repeat sprint ability is keeping your speed with all these reps over time. So like in a game, we want to train our athletes to not just have good fast sprints in the first half, but to be able to repeat that in the second half, to be able to repeat that in overtime. So I always tell my girls, you want to be getting very similar times for every repeat sprint that we do. So it's a very hard conditioning drill. And other ways I progress this besides decreasing the rest time is I like to add in change of direction, especially as we get closer to preseason. So in July, because I have a lot of girls going to preseason in August, in July, we progress from linear runs to shuttle runs. So we'll do a box shuttle run where they sprint to the 6-yard box and back to the 18 and back, and then we rest for 20 seconds. Then we do that again at the exact same speed. And we'll do anywhere from, oh my gosh, like 10 to 15 reps. Like we do a lot of high volume on these because, so one of my favorite researchers on sprint interval training and its impact on aerobic endurance, Dr. David Bishop. I mean, it's really fascinating research, and he coaches and mentors a lot of ultra marathon runners and endurance people, like long distance people. And he says, look, you guys shouldn't just do long distance, because here's what sprint interval training does. Here's what high volume speed work does for your aerobic capacity, and it improves it. And he talks about all this crazy stuff, how it makes the quality of your mitochondria, what gives your body energy, how it changes your mitochondria. It's very fascinating research, but I'm bought in because let me tell you guys. So after training for Team USA, all I did was just time sprint work, plyometrics, heavy lifting. And I started to do a lot of soccer conditioning drills. I hadn't trained conditioning in years, and I only did this speed work. And now that I'm doing conditioning drills, because I'm actually doing my athlete summer program, my heart rate is totally fine. Like I thought that first conditioning drill back from taking off for so long, I was going to struggle and be out of breath and my heart would feel like it'd have to explode. No, I don't feel that at all. When I do these speed endurance runs and this repeat sprint conditioning, I am totally fine. And I said to my husband the other day, I'm like, I feel like I could play like a full 90-minute game without doing any long distance running. All I did for the past 6 months was speed training, plyometrics, and strength. Like it's pretty crazy. So there's something to be said about Dr. David Bishop's research. So please check him out. All right, so we made it to the end here. What ruins speed? Well, not a lot of you are going to like me for this one, especially my cross country people, my sports parents who love to run marathons. Excessive long distance running ruins speed. Okay. And let me just highlight excessive. Look, if you're a parent or a young athlete and you like to do a long distance run with your family because you enjoy it from time to time, that's fine. It's not going to kill anyone. But if it's excessive, weekly, during the season, doing cross country while you have soccer season, you are only going to become slow twitched, fatigued, and sore, and it's going to be very hard for you to improve speed. I'm just calling a spade here. Also, again, it doesn't build our speed muscles when we're doing excessive long distance running. We are only training the calves and the feet. That's it. Long distance running doesn't do any more than that. Okay, so excessive long distance running will ruin speed. Number 2, running 2 days in a row with no rest or no strength workout in between, okay? So you never want to do a speed day and then a conditioning day the next day. It's 2 high impact days combined back to back. We don't want that. We want to at least have a strength day in between or a day off in between, okay? Never do 2 running days in a row. You need that recovery for your joints and your muscles so that you can have a high quality speed and conditioning session and be fully recovered for it. Okay, another thing that ruins speed is doing speed after a soccer practice or other training or sports session. So again, like I said earlier in the presentation, you want to do it before, because speed takes a lot of intensity. You have to be at your most fresh, okay? Otherwise you can't recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers. I have to mention this one too, okay? Number 4, under eating ruins speed. Why? Well, your body needs nutrients and energy to perform explosive outputs. So please, athletes, parents, make sure these girls are eating enough. They have to get those nutrients back in so that their muscles can recover and have higher outputs. We also want to make sure the muscles are building and not breaking down. They need to be building from those strength sessions so that it translates to better speed. So we have to be building, 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 not breaking them down. Okay, and then not sleeping ruins speed. Okay, so sleep is where our recovery happens because we release growth hormone to repair and build our muscles. So if girls are chronically sleep deprived of less than 8 hours per night, then yeah, that will ruin speed. So make sure girls are resting and recovering. I want to make one more note on the strength piece of this. Please, we need to encourage our female athletes to put on muscle mass. There is nothing scary about muscle. I think bulky is a great thing, to be honest. Like, I want to become more bulky, full disclosure. Especially when I did my Team USA track meet, I looked at some of the girls in the other lanes and I'm like, dang, like, these are sprinters. Like, I'm just coming in here as a soccer player who just enjoys track, but like, I clearly, like, I could have done even a little bit more, because if we look at some of the world's best sprinters, I mean, Sha'Carri Richardson, I mean, she is jacked and she's the best in the world at what she does. And she can power through those races. She has glutes, hamstrings, quads. And she also, if you notice in the picture, she has a strong upper body. I think even our female athletes who play soccer and they think it's all legs, it's not. We need to have muscle mass and a robust body composition for sprinting, because it is the most extreme thing the body does. We're putting force into the ground, so we have to have muscle on us, on our whole body. Annie Kuntz as well. She is one of my good friends and a former D1 track athlete at, I think Texas A&M was where she went, and she's now on Team USA and she's an Olympian and she's jacked. I mean, the girl like has a 6-pack and biceps, and a lot of people would also say she's bulky, but it's like, that's a great thing. Alex Morgan too. She lifts weights as well, and she's a very fast forward too. And she was probably one of the fastest on the women's national team when she was playing. So we need to encourage our female athletes to just get strong as heck because speed, you need that strength, you need that lean muscle mass. I'll end with this. We want our athletes to be predators when it comes to speed. So if you're someone who likes to long distance jog, you're not training to be a predator. You're training to be chased. You're not giving your body the right input. So if you are sprinting like a cheetah, the fastest animal in the world, you're going to become fast. And another thing about cheetahs is they rest a lot. They sleep a lot of hours. Go look it up. They sleep probably like 20 hours a day. But then when they're out and about, they mean business. They are absolute predators. So be a predator when it comes to speed. Scratch the long distance runs. You're not being a predator, you're prey. Now, if you want sample programs, I'll link my Female Athlete High Performance book in the caption below. I also do remote training programs to help athletes get faster. I love coaching the remote training programs because I just love giving feedback on form. I think not enough athletes are really taught the form of the arms and posture and the lower body mechanics, and they just, even some of them just need like 1 to 2 tweaks and they're good. Like, I don't even have to make any crazy changes. It's just 1 to 2 things and habits that they've gotten into that we just need to undo. And then once we correct those, I mean, it's like they're off to the races. So it's very powerful to have that coaching. And whether it's me or someone else, I recommend if you're looking for a speed coach, they should definitely have some sort of track background, whether they did track or they're studying from track mentors. I think a lot of soccer speed coaches don't have that track background, and they're stuck in this kind of like soccer culture of tippity tapping through ladders and rings, and they don't understand the mechanics of sprinting and what it takes to really improve stride rate and stride length. So if I can give you any advice to finish this, it's find someone who understands track. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening. I hope this helped. I love talking about speed. Speed really pumps me up, and I'm actually going to do my speed workout tomorrow. I am taking a full recovery day right now, and I'm just chilling and recording this podcast. So, not using my legs and resting up. So, thank you guys. If you like the video, please share with someone who needs to hear this or someone who's like always wanted to improve their speed. I'm just so wanting to get this message out there because I have seen athletes start training this way and they make improvements in just a couple months' time. It's so magical, but you have to do it correctly and you have to stick with it consistently. Speed takes consistency. Thank you guys, and see you next time.